You know, when I first got saved, I had an incredible encounter with the Lord, and I felt like there was this mighty rushing water that was forcing its way through my body. And as it was, things were breaking off and things were flying off, and I felt so free when it was over. I felt free, I felt released, I felt full of love, I felt full of hope and joy. Excitement was there. I fell in love with Jesus with every fiber of my being. And I think, you know, when I look back at those times, there was times when things would happen, or, you know, I'd be laying on my bed at the end of the day as I'm going to sleep, and I'm thinking about things that I'd like to happen, or things that I've committed to and I don't know how it's going to work out. And I would just have a thought toward the Lord on it, and those things would be answered. It was amazing. It was powerful. There was this abundance everywhere that I went, and God was just so good. And there was, you know, back in those days, I worked as a waitress, and I didn't make a whole lot of money, and I bought a car, and that was the doing of the Lord. And it was fabulous, and it was powerful, and it was amazing. You know, there was this abundance, this blessing of knowing him that he just seemed to pour out on every area of my life. And, you know, years later is when I first experienced my first time in travail, where I laid on the floor and this guttural groan started to just come out of me that I couldn't stop. And there's this thing about surrendering ourselves to the Lord, about submitting ourselves to his plan and his purpose, regardless of what that's going to look like, whether we like it or don't like it, whether we feel comfortable with it or we don't feel comfortable with it. And it's in that space that God's able to move whenever he wants to, because we've given him free reign. Our reputation doesn't matter. The way I might sound doesn't matter. The thing he might want me to say is more important than my obedience to him than it is what other people are going to think. And when I look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 13, it says this. It says, the name of the second river is Gihon, and it flows around the entire land of Cush or Mesopotamia. Now, that word Gihon means to burst forth or to gush forth, to, you know, it's a powerful spring, but it's irregular in flow. It's not a mighty rushing river. It's not a steady stream, but it is this irregular bubbling up. And I think about something like Old Faithful, where, you know, you've got this geyser that erupts on a regular basis, and the water just flows, comes shooting up out of this geyser. And it's not even that, it's just irregular. And I think one of the things when I think about this is for us to come into a place where we're willing to be used of God whenever, wherever, however he wants it to look. That irregularly, that we can go in those desert moments, or what might feel like a desert moment, for months at a time, and be okay with the fact that maybe I haven't been used of God the way that I would like to. But when he wants to, we're available. And that gushing forth can happen. It'll burst forth. It'll come forth in a mighty and powerful way, whether it's in a word of prophecy, whether it's in a teaching or a preaching, whether it's in a laying on of hands on somebody who's ill and we're praying and we're believing that God is going to heal them. Whatever it is, that we are just available. And I encourage you to make yourself available to God in whatever fashion he wants to use you, in that bursting forth, in that irregular movement. He's going to work through you all of the time. But it's those power moments that we remember. It's those moments of extreme presence, of extreme unusual ways that he moves in our life that makes us stop and go, wow, that was powerful, and I want to do it again. And it's those things for me that make me go, when is the next time, Lord? When is the next time that I'm going to look into your eyes? When is the next time that I'm going to lay my hands on somebody and see them healed? When is the next time that I'm going to hit the floor in travail? When is the next time? And you look forward to it. There's this thing inside of you that draws you to seek for the opening of that well, for that gushing to come forward one more time, that the Lord is going to use you for his purposes in a season, in a moment, in a time that's going to carry you for a while to be able to look back and give testimony to your children and your grandchildren about the goodness of God and the time that God did this thing in your life. So I encourage you today that as we are looking at these rivers that come out from the river, from the Garden of Eden, that you just allow God to be God whenever, however it is that he wants to be God in your life, that you surrender your breath, your life, your speech to him, that he'll be able to bubble forth and burst forth whenever he wants to. Have yourself a great day. Be encouraged. God is good and he loves you.